far our greatest weapon of all.
First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one.
It's time we started fresh. Pain isn't something we thought.
All we can ever do for our heroes is remember them, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. They gave up everything for our country, for us. They pray for freedom and justice.
Some veterans not getting the timely care that they need. Less than 1% of Americans serving in uniform. Good news is that in recent years we've made historic investments to boost the VA budget.
What is it? Why should we care?
We should care about press freedom
Because we were informed.
In democratic societies, free, diverse, and pluralist media enable public debates and are essential checks
You don't
on
look
power.
satisfied. Let's discuss.
Hi guys.
How you guys doing?
Next episode. Welcome to Vet podcast, episode 8.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you some hints on the claims, what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and also some resources on what you can use in that process.
Yeah. Little things that pop up.
Yeah. So if it's your first time listening, then thanks for coming. This podcast is produced every week. And as a short reminder, Vet2Vet is a non-profit educational project dedicated to assist veterans with adjustment to civilian life and to provide assistance in obtaining your VA and other available benefits that you have earned. So now let's get into the show.
Yeah.
So if you follow the steps discussed in today's podcast, you will have much more better chances with, I don't want to say winning your claims, just
better odds overall.
better odds, yeah. Because some people say it's all about winning and fighting. No, you're not fighting. It's just the way the process goes, and you just go with the process.
Yeah. And you know what happened to you more than anybody else. So if something happened to you in service and you know it's because of your service, then fight for it.
Yeah. Or
show it. Prove it.
Yeah, prove it. I would say prove it.
Yeah.
Because who knows, you might end up working for VA later, and you got big chances working for one of the government organizations.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're gonna tell you that you're on the other side right now fighting against. No, we all work together.
Yeah.
So, the first of all, we would like to cover some great websites and internet resources that at one point or even now we find useful in just figuring out some questions relating to military or veteran service. So the first one,
Hadit.com. Hadit.com is a great website where it's just veterans talking to veterans about issues that pop up. They were founded in 1997, so they have quite a few years of records on their website to kind of bounce off of what situation you might have, and there's a good chance that you're going to find what you're looking for at this website. And it's veterans talking to vets, so it's fairly easy to understand what each other are talking about.
Yeah, so pretty much they focus on disability claims, benefits, VA law, how to get your VA claims granted, how to file an appeal. Pretty much everything that we cover in the podcast, but probably on a text and in a discussion kind of way.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a forum kind of breakdown, but you're talking to vets who have already been at that level where you're at now. So bounce off of them, see what was successful, see what wasn't, and go from there. But it's a great website to get an idea.
Yeah, so seriously, check it. It's free.
Yeah.
Great website. Myself, the website that I used before to find some answers to my questions is vets.uku.com. It's a Veteran Benefits Network forums. They got a Facebook webpage as well that you can see on the screen right now. It's an amazing website as a Hadit, so it provides veterans and their dependents with assistance how to obtain VA benefits and other benefits that you have earned because of your service, and it includes it covers topics such as compensation, education, healthcare, and many more.
Yeah. The Veterans Law Blog, also a great spot. Veteranslawblog.org. It's a funny word. They help educate veterans so they could take back the power in their own VA claims and their appeals. There is a lot of appeals going on right now and notice of disagreements. So you want to kind of understand what does that mean and what to expect when you're at that level.
Yeah, myself, I use mostly YouTube videos from that blog.
So yeah, a lot of these websites, they're really just advice. They're just trying to help out, just kind of like what we're doing in our own little way. And so bounce off of each other, see what people think, and see what path you think is going to help you best.
Yeah. So another great resource is a Transition Veteran website. Web link is on the screen. It's a website, the way they position themselves is a website for past, present, and future United States military veterans. So it's a website who helps you transition from military to civilian life and covers a lot of benefits and topics that might be helpful to you.
Yeah.
Another funny website, or Dark 30, that's mostly a literary journal of the Veterans Writing Project, and that covers just a lot of stories that happened while in the military service. And it's not as helpful as like previous websites that we mentioned for your benefit, but it does have some good inspirational stories.
Yeah, and there could be a story that talks about the same thing that you were doing when you were deployed, so you might be able to bounce off of it in some kind of way to help fight your claim.
Yeah, and it's been said that website ODARK 30 is based on, actually it's a child of Veterans Writing Project, which does the same kind of stuff. And check it out, great resources.
Yeah.
Great stories, and you might want to submit your story as well. Yeah, and also, like, if you consider fighting with VA, it's not fighting; it's just working together.
Yeah.
Just be respectful, be humble. VA is a great system that's trying to help you, but it is in its own way. In its own way, I mean, there is like set of questions, set of steps that you have to do, and have to actually to submit some proof or submit some documents to get through, and that's just the way it is. Like, if you want to, I would say this time, fight the system, you got to change that regulation, or to change that like those dispositions that they're bouncing off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just bouncing, you are complying. So if you can comply with regulations and those checklists, then you'll be good to go.
Yeah, and keep in mind the VA is helping so many people. It's better to ask for help with a smile than being frustrated and yelling at them, because then they may not want to help you just out of natural humanness. So if you're having an issue with the VA, don't blame the guy in front of you. Just see what he can do to help you out.
Yeah, just afterwards go to the woods and yell and cry as much as you want.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So, going back to hints itself, to VA claim hints. So the first one, and it's kind of obvious, gather all your medical, your military records and private records.
Yeah, so what you want is your personnel records and your medical records that happen to be within your service. The way you do that is by going to archives.gov and going on electronic veteran record, or eVetRecs. Or if you don't have the internet for whatever reason, you could use the form SF, as in San Francisco -180, and fill out that form, mail it to the archives or where your records are held. That should be on the second page of that form. Or you could fax it to the National Personnel Records Center. That number is 314-801-9195. and they'll give you a copy of the record you're looking for. And at least at the same time, you got an idea what the VA is looking at when they're judging your claim, so you're both on the same page.
Yeah, so second step, if you got an idea of what you're trying to claim, honestly it wasn't my case because I knew what hurts, but I didn't know exactly what it's called in like VA, like regulation on VA files. So I just took my whole military record and brought it to VSO.
So once you get your records from the archives, usually it takes about a month, 3 months. Look through them, review your records, and see what's in there, and see little things that you think you might be able to go for. And then what you want to do now is cross-reference those conditions to conditions you have now, and showing that those conditions are still bothering you. So if you had headaches in service, and you go into the VA for headaches now, or to an outside doctor, and you could show that you're still being affected by headaches, use those 2 records for your disability claim. Yeah, so there's certain things that you could go for, and all kinds of different little disabilities. So it could be something that you think is minor, like sweaty hands, to allergies, to the shaving profile. You know, those are all disabilities. So if you could prove it, go for it.
Yeah, another good hint would be to go on the VA website and get forms for fast letters, memos, or any other documentation that might support your case.
You want to go to the DAV, the PVA, or any other VSO website and bookmark them so you know how to get back to them, and download anything you think that is related to your claim. There's a lot of excellent websites that have things about Agent Orange. Project Shad is one of those ones that's really hard to prove. You might be a part of it, but they never really said what they were testing yet. So that gets kind of harder, but at least you have that argument, so go for it. And many other programs that you may not be involved in or not know that you're involved in. You know, so try to connect your health-related issues to your service and your duties, stations, and locations.
Yeah, for different service connections, there are different checklists to follow. And I'm not saying that checklist from DAV is better than checklist from any other VSO.
Yeah.
But you know, based on the experience, they developed that checklist, and that's what they're bouncing off. That's what helped probably a previous guy before you.
Yeah.
So that checklist might be helpful for you to use in order to prove your claim.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there is not everything in your medical record. So you might have to call your buddies and maybe go back to the station if you live not far away from it and get additional evidence like body letters
And doctor letters.
Doctor letters.
Like he was saying, news reports. Things you can that kind of help support what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, so as been said, get statements from anyone who knows you and what issues you have. So for Combat Action Badge, if you've been put for that award, you might use those statements. Those might be helpful, or like statements of what happened at one point on deployment. Those are not classified, you can use those.
Yeah.
Body letters when you get out from somebody who served with you. Nexus letters. Also a letter from your spouse, from your significant other might be helpful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all, anything you can do to help back you is gonna help, even if it seems minor. So if you think that gives you even 0.5%, go for it, you know. You're just trying to better your odds.
Yeah. So another hint that might be a little bit confusing for a lot of you, but some of maybe veterans would be able to use it. You can go to findlaw.com or maybe to open databases like law databases or some library databases, and look up for some decisions from Court of Veterans Appeals, district courts from your local like state courts, whether it's a Supreme Court or High Court of your state, whatever it's called in your state. So those decisions might give you an idea how actually what judges are looking for.
Yeah.
And it's not only to prepare your case for appeal because you probably didn't yet file your case, but it will give you an idea of what you should be relying on while preparing your case.
Yeah, so you don't get to the appeals level.
Yeah, and it's difficult and confusing to understand that. It's much more easier for an attorney or for I don't know, seasoned VSO.
Yeah, to help out, but just bounce off of what they're saying and what you think is going on. It really comes down to evidence, you know. So keep it simple. If a basic person could figure out that you hurt your back in service, you should probably get it.
Yeah. If you have been going to vet center, they might have some of the records that you've been going to those places.
And sometimes the vet center, after you've seen them for a while, they'll help write a letter to back you up of what they think is going on. And your social workers could help write letters of what they think is going on.
You can always use the Privacy Act and request that information. Or you can ask and use the Privacy Act to wipe out the information that they have on you.
Yeah.
You can, to figure out like how VA use and calculate your disability and how all the percentage adds up together, you can use one of the websites that we covered in the beginning. I know that Headed website got online, I believe it's an Excel file or just a form that helps you calculate what you can put for and what disability, how they add up.
Yeah.
So that might be a good way how to figure out how VA does its math, because it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, and if you can't find it on the internet, the book is expensive, but you might be able to find it on Amazon or something like that, or maybe even a used bookstore, because most laws don't really change year to year for the most part. But it's all under the 38 CFR, or Code of Federal Regulations. So if you find the 38 CFR, you're looking at veterans' disability law.
Like if you have seen a counselor at the VA hospital or civilian counselor, you can ask him to write you a statement of how bad they think you are. Because if they write how good you are, you might not be applying for service connection, but you might be applying for a job at VA. It might be a case as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so what you're showing there is, 1, you're diagnosed, 2, what's the severity of it. And if a doctor's willing to do that, or the counselor or any person that you're seeking treatment with, you just shot your odds a lot higher. And so once you gather all that evidence, you want to put in a little narrative that backs it all up. And once you put in that little story saying this is what happened and here's the records, boom, 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 1, 2, 3, and put it all in little, like, from beginning to end, you should do all right.
Yeah, and you know, it might be difficult to put, like, especially for those IM agent who served 20 years and then 25 years, it might be difficult to put it all together, and might be VSO won't be able to go in depth into like every year or maybe every month of what's on your record. So just do one step at a time. Take like 2 weeks, like 4 weeks, and let's say, oh, my knees hurt. Just go through your record and find all the things that happened to you that might back up your condition. And then second one, back pain. Maybe second one PTSD, third one PTSD or something else.
Yeah.
You can do it otherwise. You can just go like month by month, starting from basic training and figure out what happened to you. Right now, with digital age, it's a little bit more easier to figure out when you've been deployed, where you were stationed, where you did NTC, RTC, or any other rotations, or any other like preparation for deployment, or like what kind of war games you've been involved in. But if you're somebody who's older and your records are not on your file, on a like digital file, not on your ERB, so you might wanna make a timeline as well. Also, you can do a kind of mock exam if you have good connections with your private doctor. Let's say you downloaded a CNP exam form, like what a CNP examiner would be looking for while during examination, and you can bring that form to your private doctor and ask him to evaluate you based on those like criteria or based on that checklist.
And those forms are called disability benefit questionnaires, or DBQ forms. You can find those for each little condition that's going on about you. So if you're talking about your knee, look for a DBQ form about your knee. I'm going to take it to your doctor and see if he'll sit down with you and fill it out. And some of them will. Some of them are a little shy because it takes a while and they don't want to waste the time on it. But if you have a doctor that's willing to do it with you, then at least you have that backup. So when you get that DBQ form filled out and you go to your outside medical exam, you have two separate arguments here if they're different.
Yeah, but in this case, it won't be a mock exam. It's going to be definitely like a real exam.
Yeah.
So that doctor got to be specialized in the field
Yeah.
that he is trying to examine you.
Yeah, you don't want to ask your psychologist about your knee.
Yeah. Even though he might be able to do it, but that's going to be like a mock exam.
Yeah.
And probably he is good at it. Who knows? At least you'll know like what you got to pay attention to in the checklist. And as been said, it's sometimes might be a little bit confusing for somebody at VA to figure out what you're claiming. So like better you state in your initial claim what you're trying to achieve, better odds you have in obtaining or getting good answer on why your claim is not accepted or denied, unfortunately.
The hard part about this too is the hurry up and wait kind of deal. Even though you're out of the military, the hurry up and wait still applies to us. And so really the only way you could try to get your claim moving faster is if you get a social worker to write a letter stating you're homeless. 2, if you're under hospice care. 3, if you get a doctor saying that, like hospice care, that you're dying soon.
That's a good one.
I have seen it work and I've seen it not work. But anything you try to do to bring those issues up, go for it. But for the average person, you're pretty much waiting.
Yeah, I would say for younger veterans it's a little bit easier because everything is on digits and on the system, so it's much more easier for VA examiner to pull out your records and use keywords and find maybe some files and some like situations what you're claiming. For old vets, that's exactly what Joe said. Could be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
And if you at one point get denied, or you see that you get a letter from VA that doesn't add up to what you claim, or sometimes it's a little bit confusing, you can always invoke the reasonable doubt clause, which means that if there is a doubt, then it got to be in your favor.
Yeah. But you want to get it to that 50-50 level. Certainly review the rating, so even if they give you a rating, sometimes they gave you a lower rating than what you should have gotten, so then you want to see if they gave you a 10%, on that award letter it will state at 20% you need to be here. So if you see that 20%, you're like, well, I submitted a lot of records that should put me in that 20% range, then you can try to argue it. review those things so you know that you're getting paid what you should be.
Yep. So if you are a veteran who got a medical degree or got some kind of medical education, understanding what's going on with his file, which is definitely wasn't my case. So you might be able to provide some studies, some medical studies that can prove that your condition actually is a condition.
Yeah. Yeah, like a hard one for current vets is the fibromyalgia, the chronic fatigue. Even though it says on the VA website that you can claim these things if you're deployed, it's really hard to get diagnosed with these things, and it was really hard to get diagnosed in service for these things. So it may not be in your service record. So look at those medical journals and reports to kind of help back you up to so you get diagnosed for these things.
Yeah, so having done your all preparation work and following some of the hints, all the hints that we covered today, you should be more than not just good to go, but more than good to go.
Yeah.
Because you did your homework, and that's what most of us don't like to do, because we just wanna go with the flow, just go whatever is in front of us.
Yeah, but do your homework, do what you got to do, and you should do all right, and your benefits are for the rest of your life. So it's worth your time, it's worth your effort, and the more and more vets that get service connected, the better odds we all have in general. And so it's not just about you, it's about taking care of your family and helping your buddies to the left and right of you.
Yeah, so that's it, folks. Thanks for listening. Come back often and feel free to subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. All links are in the podcast notes. And as always, do you have any book, movie you would like to suggest?
I've been reading the new Frank Miller's Batman for the Dark Knight, Part 3. It's pretty cool book and the drawings are really neat, but I'm a Batman fan.
Here you go, guys. You can read about Batman, look at the comics.
Yeah.
I would say a good movie is Jarhead, released 2005. So I'm not gonna tell a lot about it, but if you watch it, most likely you'll like it.
Yeah, it was about the first Gulf War, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And quote of the day.
Yeah. If you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. If you know heaven and know earth, you may make your victory complete.
Sun Tzu. Great quote. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.